Hey friends, I am back with you today, and I am in my new office space, which I'm so pleased about. It looks similar to what I had before because I still have the same stuff, but it is about 30% bigger, and I have really cool, neat stuff in here to show you, so I'll give you a tour when it's completely done, but it's like 95% there, so I'm so close. So today I thought we'd do a little bit different video, and I wanted to give you just some more depth, more understanding, more insight, tips into synastry. So you can understand a little bit more about how it works in astrology. So, you know, synastry is when you compare two charts together, and there will always be good and bad aspects between partners in every relating. We don't seek out partners who don't challenge us. We typically choose relationships that have a lot of hard contacts, because there is a lot of psychology that goes into attraction and love, and it's a very complex thing. And it's very much about ourselves and about learning about ourselves and growing and becoming more evolved through the medium of relationships. Because without relationships, without other people, we have no way of knowing ourselves. If you were the only one in the world, would you know much about yourself? You would not. We need the reflection of other people to bounce things off of and to learn from. So there is a misconception in synastry that there should be all easy contacts or mostly easy contacts. Typically there's not. There's typically a balance of good or bad, or slightly more challenging than easy. It's just the way humans are. So we have this conception, especially in the West, or this, I guess this ingrained thought, fantastical thought, that soulmates are something that when they come into our life and we hook up with them, where there is no difficulties. We always get along. There's always attraction. It's, this great, exciting thing, and that is just simply not the case. Soulmates are there to spur us towards growth. And if we are not growing, that means we are not learning. We are not accomplishing the purpose of life. So to be in a relationship that is challenging is human nature. So synastry really shows attraction and feelings. How naturally each person feels and expresses their own identity and characteristics in front of the other person. Composite shows compatibility way better, and how well or how well not they can keep the relationship going. Synastry is more the study of how identities meet and mesh in a relationship. So compatibility and attraction are two very different things. I see people a lot who are wildly attracted to each other, but inherently incompatible. And they will be struggling to force a compatibility or to find a way to make compatibility happen, because the attraction is so intense. They really think, especially if there's a great deal of Pluto or Mars involved, sometimes Neptune. That's kind of a little bit different flavor, though, and it doesn't typically last a long time. They think the attraction is what should be fought for under certain contexts because it is so intense. And so, you must want the same things in a relationship. You must have enough in common where you can grow together. You must be basically about the same things. So you must have your differences, yes, but you need to have enough in common where you can grow together in such a way that you are going in the same direction. You must not be getting in each other's way or angering or irritating each other, or or our relationship is just never either going to form in synastry or it's not going to be sustainable. So you need to have attraction, yes. You also need to have compatibility. The best relationships have both, but they weigh heavy on the compatibility end of things. So, also, not having aspects between planets is something that you need to pay attention to, because that can be just as telling as having easy or hard aspects between planets. If the personal inner planets of one or both people are not being contacted, then you can pretty much assume that they are not feeling the other person in the way that those certain planets that are not being contacted describe. So they simply don't connect. So you need to pay attention to not only what is in aspect, but what is lacking in aspect, because that can be a big clue as to what somebody is not feeling within a relationship. So how a person's planets fall, where they fall into another person's chart, what houses they fall into, really shows the expectations that the house person has of the planet person. So the house person, whatever planet is captured by somebody's house, the house person very much assumes that the planet person is going to play a certain role, as described by the house. And they really see, everybody does this, unless you're highly enlightened, everybody sees the world from our own perspective. It's our own perception. And so, our houses very much are our perception. So when somebody else is captured in a certain house, there's very much an assumption that goes along with the perception of that house that says, this is what this person is going to do for me. This is what the role they're going to play for me. And the planet person isn't necessarily in agreement with that, doesn't know that that is even occurring. And this is not something that the house person sits around, consciously doing. This is just part of almost, robotic human behavior, because we're pretty much, on automatic pilot 90% of the time. So a lot of difficulties could be avoided in relationships if we understand that our perception is our perception and our expectations are our expectations. And the more you expect and assume that somebody's going to be or serve you in a certain way, the more disappointed you are probably going to be, because we make a lot of assumptions that are not based on reality. They are based on our own filtered concept of what the world is, and that is something that's very individual. So you need to understand in synastry that having expectations is very much like having somebody marry your needs, or having somebody commit to you so they can take care of your needs. And that is not love. Love is something that you give away, and there is no expectation that it's going to come back. It is something that is freely given. So we could avoid a lot of pain and suffering in this world if we understand that where somebody's planets fall into our house doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to be serving us in that way, and that we can depend on that, because that's one of the reasons why we are attracted to somebody's certain planets in our houses, because there is an assumption that goes along with that. So, synastry is very complex. It takes a long time to really learn how to interpret it well. Because you have to get really good at, basic natal chart reading and understanding human nature, and then you can, really start grasping the deeper connections that go with synastry and astrological compatibility, because humans are very complicated, and astrology reflects that, very much so. So I hope this was enlightening for you and answered a few questions that you've had. I will be back very soon, actually super soon, with more super cool videos. Yes, I do private consultation. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com. Email for an appointment, and you can find me on Facebook at Truth in Aspect Astrology, where you should be following me because I write the daily astrology weather forecast, birthday descriptions, which I need to catch up. But I'm usually on time with those because those are important, and they took me a long time to write. Lots of articles, writings of all kinds, and I will be back soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.